The wind across the Wyoming plains carried a sharp bite that morning, the kind that made even seasoned ranchers mutter and pull their coats tighter. Luke Harwood had ridden out before sunrise, hoping to reach his southern fence line before the next storm rolled in. But halfway down the ravine, his horse stopped abruptly, ears swiveling toward a cluster of boulders piled against the cliffside. At first Luke thought it was a trick of the shifting light, but then he heard it faint, ragged breathing carried on the cold gusts. He dismounted, hand instinctively falling to the sidearm at his hip. "Hello?" he called out. The canyon swallowed his voice, echoing it back at him. No answer, only another soft, painful gasp. He followed the sound, stepping carefully between the rocks until he spotted her. A young woman lay half buried in the fallen stones, her clothes torn, her hair matted with dirt and sweat. Her legs were splayed awkwardly, one pinned under a heavy slab of rock. She trembled violently, eyes fluttering open as he approached. I can't close my legs," she whispered, her voice raw. "Something's wrong. Please help me." Luke crouched beside her, heart pounding. She wasn't just injured, she was terrified. Her lower body was swollen, her limbs shaking uncontrollably. When he reached down to check the position of her trapped leg, he froze. "Ma'am, you've got a tourniquet tied wrong here," he murmured. It was a desperate, sloppy knot, the kind someone panicked might tie when they believed they were bleeding to death. The cloth was cutting into her thigh, twisting the muscle unnaturally. Worse yet, when he slid his hand beneath the rock, he felt something else, something rough, metallic, a rusted bear trap. It clicked instantly. She hadn't just fallen. She had been caught snared by one of the illegal traps poachers laid around the ravine. Luke's stomach twisted. The trap had snapped shut on her leg, and in her frantic attempt to free herself, she had pulled until the metal teeth tore open the flesh. She'd managed to loosen the chain, but the rock slide had come down when she tried to drag herself away. The weight kept her pinned, the trap hidden beneath debris. "Don't move," he said softly, already reaching for his tools. "I'm going to get you out." "What's your name?" "Claire," she whispered. "Claire Hensley." "All right, Claire. You're going to be okay. I promise." But as Luke began working, he realized this would be more complicated than he thought. The rock trapping her leg weighed at least 100 pounds, maybe more. The trap was rusted to the chain, and the chain was tangled under the stone. If he lifted the rock wrong, her broken leg could twist even further, and Claire was losing strength fast. Her breath came in shallow bursts. "I didn't think anyone would come," she murmured. "I yelled for hours." "How long have you been out here?" Luke asked, jaw tightening as he wedged a pry bar beneath the stone. "Since last night rain washed out the path. My horse spooked. I was tracking cattle for my PA." She paused, panting. "I heard a snap then. The pain." Luke pushed harder, leveraging the bar until the stone shifted just enough for him to slide another support beneath it. Claire's cry of pain tore through him, but she squeezed her eyes shut and didn't move. "You're the bravest person I've seen in a long while," he said quietly. "I'm really scared, I know. But you're not dying out here. Not today." The sky darkened overhead, thunder rumbling far off as Luke worked. After nearly 20 minutes of maneuvering, he finally lifted the rock enough to see the full extent of the injury, and his breath caught. The trap had pierced not only her skin, but part of her boot, crushing bone and muscle. Blood had pooled, sticky and cold. "We've got to get this off," he said, voice steady even though his stomach was in knots. Claire bit her lip. "Just hurry. I can't feel my foot." Luke took a deep breath, angled the pliers, and forced the rusted jaws apart. The metal groaned painfully before finally snapping open. Claire let out a strangled sob as the trap released her. "You're doing good," he murmured. "Real good." Once the trap was off, Luke examined the wound. It was bad but not hopeless. What made his heart stop, though, was what he found beneath her, a canvas sack. Half buried in the dirt, stamped with a crest he recognized immediately. The Federal Land Office seal was a map bag, one used by surveyors. Someone had discarded it recently, and inside, as he peeked through the torn flap, he glimpsed papers, sketches, and a heavy brass stamp. Whoever had been out here before her had dropped it or abandoned it in a hurry. Claire noticed his expression. "I didn't take it," she whispered. "I just landed on it. I swear." "I believe you," Luke said honestly, "but this belongs to someone dangerous." because Luke had seen that emblem before years ago when federal agents had come through accusing locals of trespassing on land newly marked for railway expansion. Ranches had been pushed out, families forced to move, but rumors had lingered that some officers had hidden stolen deeds, stolen mineral maps, stolen documents that proved families owned the land first. And now, one of those lost map bags was sitting right beneath this injured girl. Thunder cracked above them as Luke cleaned Claire's wound and lifted her into his arms. Her body slumped against him, weak but trusting. He secured her to his horse and mounted behind her, holding her carefully as they began the long, slippery ride back to his ranch. When they reached shelter, Luke worked tirelessly cleaning her wound, splinting her leg, warming her with blankets. Claire fought to stay awake, asking over and over, "Am I going to lose my leg?" "No," Luke answered every time. "You won't lose anything. It's not while I'm here." He didn't sleep that night. And when Claire finally rested, Luke opened the map bag fully. What he found inside made him go pale. It contained mineral rights maps, proof that the land belonged not to the railway, but to Claire, his family ranch, and several neighbors who'd been pushed into debt and hardship. This was the unbelievable thing he had found, something that could change dozens of lives. When Claire woke in the morning, she saw the bag beside him. "You looked," she said softly. "I did." Luke met her gaze. "Claire, this could save your ranch. Maybe save the whole valley." Claire stared at him, tears welling. "It's been fighting so long. I thought we'd lose everything." Luke leaned forward. "You won't. Not now." In the weeks that followed, Luke and Claire worked together, him helping her heal, her recovering strength and courage she didn't know she still had. The documents were brought to court, the truth revealed, the land rightfully claimed back by the people who had nearly lost it. And through it all, the bond between Luke and Claire deepened, born from fear, forged in trust, strengthened by the knowledge that they had saved not only each other, but their entire community. Claire would jokingly say later, "If I hadn't gotten stuck out there, none of this would have happened." Luke always smiled at that. "I would have found you sooner or later," he answered. "Some things are meant to be found." And when she finally healed, when she walked again without pain, when she stood beside him on the porch overlooking the restored valley, Claire squeezed his hand gently and whispered, "You saved my life." Luke shook his head. "You survived it."